All right, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Last Things Last podcast. It's been a minute. But we're back. We were on such a good run, man. We were doing so well, and then life came at us fast, and here we are. But happy to be back. A lot of stuff's happened since we've been gone. MJ can't join us tonight. He is stuck in Virginia traffic, so sucks to be him, really. But Justin, how's everything going, man?
Good, man. Good. It's going well. Going well.
Good.
MJ's pretending to be in traffic because he didn't want to join, but that's all right. We'll get through it.
I was saying earlier, I was at the driving range earlier, and I've been trying to work on getting my drive to go straight because every time I'll pepper it and it just hooks to the right all the time. Gets good loft and everything, but it just soars to the right. And I'm like, all right, I need to work on this. So I've been painstakingly just trying to straighten this out. And I was on a roll, like 5 or 6 in a row, just down the middle, piping them. And then Material Girl came on the radio and everything just died.
What?
Yep.
That was playing at the driving range?
Yes. So I was trying to.
What driving range are you going to? They're playing.
Very good question. So I tried to go to the Mizzou course, but it's closed due to conditions. So then I tried the other local golf course, closed due to conditions. So I'm like, Midway Golf and Games has one, so I'm sure.
Oh.
So went there just to hit. But yeah, I was like, all right, I'm concentrating. Everything's going well. It's like Material Girl. And I'm like, nope. It's all gone now.
I hate shanking everything. Them all over the place.
Yep. Yeah, did not work after that. But yeah, speaking of golf and people that are a lot better than the both of us, the Masters happened. Hideki Matsuyama becomes the first Japanese winner of the Masters. Took home $2,070,000. Justin, he looked a little shaky down the stretch after having that dominant third day. What did you like from his game?
Just the fact that I think he had a 4-stroke lead going into the final day, which looked like there was a good chance it was going to be tough for anyone to catch him.
Right.
But when you have, normally people don't have 2 of those rounds in the same tournament. He had a 65, I think, or 64 the third day. So you normally end up evening out at some point. And he did that. I mean, Schauffele was with him, paired with him on the final day. He looked good to start. And then once it got towards those final few holes on 15, he put it in the water. He bogeyed a couple. Schauffele had like 4 or 5 birdies straight, and they were one stroke away from each other heading into 16. And then Schauffele just had a meltdown. And I was actually impressed. Matsuyama, he had a couple of tough tee shots in the last 3 holes, the 16, 17, 18.
And and Schauffele had those 4 birdies in a row. Mm-hmm. I mean, he came real close there, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
He just
and then he triple bogeyed on the he got it into the water on I think it was.
You know what I bet it was? I bet Material Girl came on. I bet that's exact. Material Girl started playing at Augusta National, and that's what happened.
The hole they were on is either 15 or 16. I can't remember which. I think it's 16, but it had a giant water trap right at the front. And basically you either had to hit over it to get to the green, or you could hit to the side of it, to the right side of it, and be safe basically. But it was a par 3. So like if you hit to the side of it, you're going to have to chip on and then putt in 1 to get par. So he went to go over it and just did not iron up enough and just freaking plunked it right into the water. So that led to a problem.
I was disappointed in Justin Rose and his performance down the stretch. I think especially round 3, he showed a lot of resilience because, I mean, this guy was finding everywhere but the fairway on like probably the back 9 of that third round, and started to dial it in on his putting was magnificent. He was getting the ball onto the green in not great areas and was able to hole it pretty easily, but not enough. He had a really rough 4th round, went 2 over and finished at 5 under. But I think, he's another one of those stories of started off really, really good and then just kind of lost steam. And I mean, I think everybody that watches golf knows it's a game of momentum. I mean, and it's
Yeah,
really
you probably
hard
don't
to
want to
stay.
start
Yeah,
that good.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you just have a bunch of average days together, it's better than just having one giant great one and then one bad one.
It's hard to recall anyone having like an amazing 4 rounds.
Yeah.
Like every round just being like, oh yeah, no one's catching him. I mean, Matsuyama, we thought it was sewn up after the 3rd round, and it got close. I mean, there was some. I mean, Will Zalatoris, you got to give him a lot of credit. Also, shout out to Adam Sandler for that hilarious tweet. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
So for those that didn't, he if you've never seen Happy Gilmore, Will Zalatoris looks exactly like the skinny blonde-haired caddy that Happy Gilmore just pummels for not being a good caddy. And Zalatoris was such a good sport about it. He's just like, I will caddy for you anytime, Mr. Gilmore. So, but no, he had an amazing tournament, finished at 9 under. I was rooting for him. I was hoping that he was going to catch up, but
it felt like every chance that he had to cut it within one, he would miss the putt. But he would make every other putt. But anytime that he had a chance to cut it within one, it was not going in for him. So
Jordan Spieth, I think his story was getting started. I think a lot of his first shots were kind of his problem. There were a lot of times where, especially on par 3s, he was taking some shots, and you just heard over the mic, Jordan.
Yeah.
And just like it didn't go where he wanted it to.
Yeah, he was complaining the whole over the mic. He was one of them. Every tee shot, he was like,
he was not happy.
Stuff. He was leaning. I was like, oh, he's not doing well. Tee here.
He was able to finish up pretty well. I mean,
yeah,
he was like finishing the holes well,
pretty much the whole time.
But yeah, every tee shot was just like, it was not great.
It's crazy.
Matsuyama
won by 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like in the end, it's if he would have bipped one more putt, there was a playoff there. But
what are some of the biggest disappointments, like the people that got cut, that you think, I mean, just really need to kind of reevaluate some things? For me, it was Patrick Cantlay. That was a shocker to me that he didn't make the cut. I mean, he just had an abysmal round. He went 8 over. Freddie Couples went 13 over. I mean, there were some people here. Dustin Johnson 5 over. It just kind of rough all the way around for some of these guys. What was your big disappointment?
Rory McIlroy had a rough go of it, and then DeChambeau. I mean, he made the cut and he played all 4 rounds, but he did not play well. And I mean, especially for a guy that's, probably ranked, I think he's ranked top 5 right now overall.
This is another disappointment for him. I mean, he was, what was the last big event? The
US Open?
Yeah, the US Open. Thank you. He was a favorite to win that one too. Like, so much hype coming into it, and did not turn out well. So he's kind of been all hype to me lately.
Yeah, he's won some of the smaller tournaments that don't necessarily matter that much, but in these bigger ones, he's been struggling. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan, but
I don't like the idea of he's just like power drives, and that's kind of it.
Although on the 18th hole, he hit, I think, like the 18th hole when he had, I mean, obviously 0 chance to win, and on the last day, he hit one, I think 380. Just like
that's unbelievable.
It's like, oh my god, it's just one of those. If he does that every hole all round, like, he's probably going to win. If you drive, basically, drive the green on a par hole. So. Yeah, but it was fun. Definitely got me back into golf, which is fun. As far as like, it's not something I was like looking even today. I'm like, man, I'm gonna miss betting on golf, and then I'm like, oh, there's a tournament this weekend. Like,
yes, there is.
Check out who's playing. So yeah. So I mean, definitely got me back into golf. I think they do a really good job.
They cover it so well. There's not
really
many commercials.
Mm-hmm.
You get and I do like that you can kind of, depending on your viewing platform, you can kind of like pick certain things to watch, which is really cool. Certain groupings, but I totally agree. I mean, I think I've, like I went out today, and I'm probably going to go out again later this week to just keep hitting. And, it's just, golf's one of those really interesting sports where it's like everybody can pick it up and try it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be good at it, but it's one of those sports that you can it's relaxing to try and get into and try to figure it out. And like I had so much fun just trying to straighten out a drive today, So yeah, I agree. I think the Masters is really cool for that. It kind of brings people's attention back to it. But yeah, great event. Looking forward to seeing what Zalatoris does going forward. This kid is special, and I think this won't be the last we see of him. It's not going to be like, and not to give Jordan Spieth much guff, but after that big major, that win he had, he kind of fell off a little bit since, and I don't think that's going to be the same with Zalatoris here. I think we're going to see a lot from him. Yeah. Moving over to the ice, the NHL trade deadline, things have been heating up.
Jeez.
A lot of things have been going down here. Just to kind of, go in on a few here. April 12th has been a bit of a busy day. Winnipeg acquired Jordy Ben from Vancouver in exchange for a 6th-round draft pick. Who do you think wins that trade? I actually think Winnipeg. I think Jordy Ben's a great get. You only had to give up a 6th round.
Yeah, it's weird. Some of these, like, I don't know if they're just salary dumping or what teams are doing around here. But yeah, I think Jordy Ben's a good get. I don't know. The next one, I don't know any of the. I don't know.
Ben Hutton. Yeah, no. And Barbanov. But the Washington Capitals acquiring Michael Raffle from the Flyers in exchange for a 2021 5th-round pick. I think that's a bit of a low price for Raffle. He's one of the more solid pieces to that team. I mean, don't get me wrong, though. The Flyers, as high as I and everybody else was on them, you saw this steamroll coming. You saw a team that couldn't sustain it. When we did our NHL preview, you said, this is a team that's not going to sustain it down the stretch. And you were right. I mean, it's been that loss to Buffalo without Hall or Eichel. That's inexcusable on every level.
But they're just that. Like, the thing is, everyone, they had so much hype, but they weren't that much different of a team than the past few years. They
started so well.
Yeah, they started pretty well. But like, yeah, they got hot in the bubble last year, but otherwise, I mean, they've just been an average team. They haven't changed much year to year. And I still stand by, they don't have a star, even a star player. Like, I know Giroux's
he's not a star.
His points are there, career-wise, season to season. But just when you watch the games, he doesn't strike you as someone that takes over the game or has any control over it. And we don't have anyone that has control over the game.
Right.
Like Coots.
Well, that's Detroit's problem too.
Yeah.
I mean, we have Larkin, but he's pretty much a one-way player. He's not.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, if you're going to have a one-way player, they need to be a dominant one-way player. And that we just don't have that. So, I mean, Raffle, he's a great 3rd, 4th line player. But at this point, I think the Flyers are just in kind of sell mode, and I'm sure that he'll be a good piece to the Capitals puzzle, but it's just he wasn't moving the needle for Philly.
No, and I think the other player, Eric Gustafson, that you sent to Montreal, that's not a big dump at all. You got a 7th rounder, whatever, that's helpful. I mean, Gustafson's not that great, in my opinion. I think that's not a bad trade. Let's see here. What else happened? Oh, my Red Wings, they pulled off an Anthony Mantha trade, and I didn't even see it. And that's on Detroit. They didn't even tweet about it.
Yeah.
I subscribed to their tweets. I didn't even see it. Ryan in our group chat sent it to me. I was like, what are you talking about? I would know this. What are you talking about? Anthony Mantha going to Washington. They're adding some pieces, man. But I think Detroit wins this trade. They got Jacob Vrana and Richard Panik, as well as a 21 first rounder and a 22 second round pick. I think Detroit did really well with this. Mantha's good, but he's streaky. Like, he has the ability to be a high ceiling ultra talent on your team, but he's also been really streaky and he's got injury problems. So to get a haul like this, it was funny. Ryan mentioned, he was like, I saw they traded Mantha and that didn't sound like a Steve Yzerman move. And I was like, when I saw what we got for him, that sounded exactly
that's
a
lot for Mantha. Like, that is, they definitely got a haul for him.
Yeah, that's going to help Detroit a lot in the long run, I think, as they've been continuing to build through the draft. Let's see here. Matthias Janmark going to the Golden Knights. And wait, hold on a minute. So they got Janmark, Nick DeSimone, and a 5th round pick for 2022 from the Blackhawks and the Sharks. It's a 3-team trade. In exchange for a 2nd round pick in 21 and a 3rd round pick in 22, San Jose receives a 5th round in 22. I mean, Matthias Janmark, he's awesome. So, I mean, that's a nice addition to Vegas, but I think they've already been a solid team. So this is just adding another really solid piece to that puzzle. But
the one I was looking at from today, the Bruins got Taylor Hall and
and Curtis
Lazar
Lazar, yeah.
for Bjork and a second round pick. I mean, the Bruins, now you have that first line with Pasta and Bergeron and Marchand, and then you still have Taylor Hall coming in too. Like they're a talented team there.
I mean, and you know, Taylor Hall's happy. I mean, he was unhappy in Arizona, gets sent to Buffalo where it's worse.
Yeah. And I mean, he's been on some bad teams. Like he's been on, like you said, Arizona, New Jersey, Buffalo.
New Jersey, right.
Where he's the best player on the team all the time. It'll be, I'm interested to see what he looks like as kind of just another player on a team.
Jeff Carter's going to Pittsburgh. That's a nice grab for the Penguins. Someone that I thought the Flyers might have been interested in, but is going to Pittsburgh. The New York Islanders got Braden Coburn from the Senators. That's a nice addition right there.
Yeah.
And they only had to give up a 7th round pick. I think that's a really good one. Yeah, that's a big one.
That's big.
Nick Foligno going to Toronto. They didn't really have to give up too much for that, and I think that's gonna, Toronto's been on my radar as one of those teams that I don't think it can sustain things, but you've been really high on them. I think this makes your case a little stronger here by pulling him.
Yeah, they're definitely just loading up on players right now. They got Toronto a couple days back, got Riley Nash from Columbus as well. So they've just been kind of loading up on, obviously not, they have the star players, they have the young guys, but they've been loading up on some veteran, power forwards here now. So that's seems to be the route they're going to kind of round out their team going into the playoffs.
The Red Wings also got rid of John Merrill. Thank God. Only thing good about that guy was his awesome mullet, but not a good defender. He's going to Montreal for a 5th round pick and forward Hayden Verbeek. And I think Verbeek, again, is a solid piece to add. And we need a little bit more of a 2-way forward. And I think he fits that bill pretty well. So again, Steve Yzerman's just trying to take what anyone's willing to give him. And he's not giving up much. I mean, we've given up Mantha, but got a haul. Gave up Merrill for 2 pieces. I mean, I'm all right with it.
Yeah. Earlier in the, I think April 7th, it would have been last Wednesday. The Islanders got Kyle Palmieri and Travis Zajac from New Jersey. That's huge. Because again, the Islanders, they've been sneaky good all year. Just adding a couple more pieces to that squad.
What do you think of the Devin Dubnyk trade to Colorado? I find that really strange.
For what? Like, is he going to be a backup then? Or like, what are
That's what I'm saying. In exchange for defensive Greg Pattern and a 5th round pick.
I mean, I guess it's not a ton to give up for him.
But he's had a rough go of it.
Lately,
hasn't he? I mean, San Jose's biggest issue, right? Hasn't that been like their goaltending?
Yeah. I guess you can't hurt to just maybe change of scenery. He'll do better. Colorado is obviously ridiculous. They're good this year. So
Patrick Nemeth also got rid of Steve Yzerman, got rid of him, going to Colorado as well for a 4th round pick. Riley Nash going to Toronto. That's a sneaky trade too. Mm-hmm. I think that could turn out really well for them. But
all went to the Canadians from the Sabres.
Yep.
I mean, he's not dominant anymore by any means. He's not, 2010 Eric Stahl, but still good.
But yeah, I mean, April here, there's just been a lot of really interesting moves going on. And I think the current landscape of where the NHL is right now, I mean, you've got, the divisions are really starting to take shape of who's going to be the playoff contenders here. And it's just kind of interesting to see, like, poor Buffalo, man. What do they have to do? Like, for me, I was so much higher on Buffalo in the sense of, like, they've got young talent that when they play well, they can do a lot of good things. I thought adding Taylor Hall was going to be huge. Mm-hmm. We thought they were a couple pieces and a goalie away from being competitive, and they are a 10-win team right now.
Yep. Half of them are against the Flyers, but
yeah. do you sell Jack Eichel? I mean, do you just
Maybe.
his value's high, so
Yeah, if you can get a really good,
you're gonna need a lot of
offer
good
him,
picks. Yeah.
then you might
But
as
you
well.
have to
I
be
mean,
committed to the sell.
yeah, yeah, the whole full sell. But the thing is, they don't really have many other Ristolainen's good, but other than that, like I guess what's his name, Darling.
Hmm.
But yeah, they have like small weird pieces here and there. But again, it's one of those things. Do you want to be in a position like Flyers fans have always been all over like the Nolan Patrick deal? Like he'll be good. He's good. Sell him. Like I think sometimes teams get too married to these top.
But you like Nolan Patrick though, don't you?
No, everyone like Jeremy loves him and
Yeah,
Ryan loves him.
Ryan loves him. Yeah, I thought you're not high on him.
No, he's soft. He's soft. I don't like him.
Uh,
But it's the same problem I had. The thing is, it could change. It's the same problem I had with Coots, with JVR, is Nolan Pat. Like they're just kind of lumbering. I mean, Patrick's a little bit faster than the other two, but just big body guys, but they aren't necessarily like super strong on the puck. Not the fastest, not the strongest. So it's like
not taking the body.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, what are you even out there for? So
yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think with Eichel, he definitely is a lot more dominant than those guys are, or than Patrick is. But if you're going to be a 10-win team with him, you might as well get rid of him.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. So out of the division leaders right now, so that would be Carolina, Colorado, Washington, and Toronto. If you had to pick one of those four to be your Stanley Cup champion come the end of this season, who would it be? Out of those four, who's got the best shot to you?
Probably Colorado, unfortunately.
I thought so too until the trades that Washington made.
Yeah,
Washington adding Mantha and what's his face? Oh my God, we just said his name. Who did the Capitals get? Oh, Raffle.
Oh yeah, they did.
Yeah, I mean, they just added two pretty skilled players to an already really good team.
I think goaltending will be their only thing. Not that it's been bad by any means, but just experienced goaltending in the playoffs. I think that'll get interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I mean, I want to say Toronto because they were my pick, but I mean, the Avalanche are better than advertised this year.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. They're very good.
Yeah.
In the new Ball Arena, not Pepsi Center anymore. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
You know the jar company, Ball Jars?
That's what it is?
Yes, that is their sponsor for the arena now. I don't
Jars.
get it, but yeah.
But the thing, playoff-wise, though, it'll be interesting. Isn't it the top four? Yeah, top four from every division make it.
And Red Wings are
it'll be very interesting. And the thing is, the Flyers have been absolutely terrible, and they're 4 points behind the Bruins for the 4 seed. So, like, I'd really rather not. But if you're going to, there's a chance there.
Well, that's the hardest division too, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough one. That Canadian division is going to be fun, though. Leafs, Jets, Oilers, Canadians right now.
Yep, Oilers are doing well, and they were my sleeper pick at the beginning of the year. But again, that's a team that's truly maybe a goalie away, and maybe another player. But when you have Draisaitl and McDavid going at it together, dude, there's not a better pairing in the league.
Yeah, and the thing is, the Oilers, unless Oilers, Leafs, and Jets kind of have a comfortable, probably 12 to 14 point cushion over the 5 seeds. So, I think those 3 are pretty locked in.
What do you think of the comparison of McDavid and Draisaitl to Messier and Gretzky when Gretzky was in New York? Not the Oilers years, but the Rangers years. Because Oilers Gretzky's just on another level.
Yeah. I wonder, I'm always so confused about, especially with hockey, the difference in the games now. You watch those old highlights of Gretzky and it's goalies that literally look like they just walked in off the street and
There were
regular.
some good goaltenders back then.
No, I know. No, I'm not saying they're bad goaltenders. I think they're probably better because they had to cover more net. Like,
And the pads were heavier. You had to have stronger legs and faster movement.
but they had like weird skinny pads. You know what I'm saying? Like they
Yeah.
didn't cover as much of the net. It's weird. So
Right.
like there was a lot more like goalies like having to dive across the net where now they just push and slide. Like
The 80s, especially. I mean,
yeah,
you had to slide to save everything. You
Yeah.
couldn't butterfly them. Yeah, that's a good point.
it's very weird. So like I'm on one hand, I feel like it's probably harder to score now.
Yeah. But the
They took out the
technology of the
two-line
sticks
pass
are
and
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. Hockey is a difficult one, I
It's
guess,
tough.
with eras. It's not as like basketball is more cut and dry because you can see like concretely from here to here, these players were a certain way, and from here to here, these
Yeah.
players were a certain. Hockey, there is a lot of blend, but there are those weird little like, oh, the rules changed a little bit. They added the trapezoid.
Right.
They have better sticks,
And-
faster skates.
I think the thing with like Gretzky having the 212-point season and scoring 92 goals, I don't think that he is that much better than some of the young new guys that have come through, like the Sids and the Ovechkins and stuff. And the fact that Ovechkin has to score as much as he does to get 50 in a season, where Gretzky was just putting up 70s and 90s. I don't think Gretzky was that much better. I think that the game was probably set up to be a little more
I
high.
still think Gretzky would have thrived in this era. I think he still would have. I mean, just because of his sheer talent was undeniable. And, Gordie Howe even, mainly because his body of work from playing hockey in the 40s through the 80s, I mean, he spanned a number of generations.
Yeah,
so
he
there are
actually
those
did.
guys, but like, yeah, it's just, and
It's tough.
my favorite story of that is how like, Gordie Howe, I mean, he experienced everything. And like up until he retired, I guess in 82 or 81 or 82, something like that. He still wouldn't wear a helmet, even though the league was getting to a point where they're like, you really need to do this now.
Yeah.
And it was all because in 1950, he took a slap shot to the head and had to get rushed to the hospital because the puck was lodged in his skull. He was in a coma for a little bit, gets out of the coma. Doctor tells him, you got to wear a leather strap around your head. Wore it for one game and took it off because it was uncomfortable. I'm like, all right. I mean, dude, that's a different breed of hockey player.
But
can you like, yeah, I'm good.
Can you imagine the speed of a McDavid where he's ripping by guys? And that's the thing. I know, and you don't like this, I don't think as much. But that's why, like, I always will side with today's athletes over even 20 years ago, just because, if nothing else, just the focus on, the technology is so much better.
Different.
The year-round training, like
even the equipment you use.
A McDavid with his speed, he blows by guys now that all they do is train, hockey and train for speed.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
I've never seen a guy that can
ripping through an entire defense and then ripping a shot onto like one of the goalies with thin pads.
Poor Grant Fuhr standing there like, I don't know what to do. Yeah, no, that's true. The fact that McDavid's going coast to coast on guys in modern NHL. Yeah, that's that's something special. I mean, but yeah, it's very interesting. I think arguably, and you know what? I'm trying to think of a sport in which, I mean, maybe baseball, but not really, because even baseball, I mean, the equipment's different. Athletes are better.
The pitching where you have
way faster.
And look at no hitters. Like no hitters used to be a thing where you were like, holy crap, like that happened once every couple seasons, and now it's just like
at least one a year.
Are we getting? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think we're up to 2 already, right? Or no?
Yeah,
I
think
2 already, and it's been what, a week?
Or wait, no, just has
what?
It been 2? I know Joe Musgrove with the Padres.
Yeah,
I think it might just be him.
Yeah, I think it might just be him. But even still, like the fact that it's happening this early into a season, it's like, well, yeah.
Well, speaking,
no, even with weirdly going back to the Masters full circle, I think we talked about this the other night. Like the stat that they had that there were like 36 hole-in-ones.
Yeah.
like 36 hole-in-ones all time in the Masters, and 17 of them, now 19 of them, have been since 2004. So like past
Yeah, that's
17
incredible.
years, more than half of them are.
Well, I mean, now you have clubs
happening.
where you can literally take that little instrument and adjust, adjust the head of the club and everything. And it's like, everything's so different. I mean, you're not using your grandfather's old wooden.
Right. Yeah. Driver.
Yeah. It's like where you're worried about getting splinters if you hit too much of the ground.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just to finish up here, baseball has come back. The opening weeks we're underway here, about 9-10 games into the season here for some clubs. Some takeaways that I've seen, at least starting the National League here. Cubs and Cardinals, incredibly underwhelming in the Central so far, with the exception of Nolan Arenado, who has, let me just say, ingratiated himself beautifully into St. Louis. He's batting .324 right now, couple homers, just playing great baseball, and it's great to have him in the gateway city there. But the pitching has been absolutely abysmal. St. Louis can't hold up. It's been rough. They're 5-4 in the middle of the pack there. Chicago, same deal, but they've been struggling against bad teams like Pittsburgh, and just not able to get consistent offense together. Cincinnati's been the class of the Central right now. But I do think that landscape's going to change. Again, it's early on. These are just some of the early observations, but the NL East, though, the Philadelphia Phillies coming out the gate pretty hot. And a lot of the questions that we had in the beginning of the year, I mean, of course, they're not going to be answered in the first week, but pitching's been a lot better, especially the bullpen. Hector Neris hasn't been letting up a ton of runs. Wheeler's looked great. Nola's looked great. There's been some really impressive performances from the Philadelphia pitchers. And oddly enough, their weak spot has been hitting. And they're hitting well, but their weak spot has been at the plate. So, I mean, if they turn that around, look out for Philadelphia to be a dark horse favorite in this division, where Atlanta has been struggling a little bit with their pitching. But, I mean, Acuna Jr. and Albies, dude, unreal talents, those two guys. The Mets are floundering, as are the Nationals and the Marlins. So we'll see how they turn that around. And then, of course, in the NL West, the Dodgers and Padres are kind of the story there. But don't sleep on the San Francisco Giants, who are starting off pretty well, 6-3 there. They're looking like a solid ball club, getting some good games strung together there, and making it known that, that they're in this too, which is interesting because I do think this is still, the most top heavy division. It's definitely those two, and then Colorado's where we expect them to be right now. But what are your takeaways from the NL so far?
I mean, other than the Phillies, they're something. They're looking all right. I think even with the end of the rotation, coming in, you're always relatively comfortable. Nola, Wheeler, but then even the what's his name, Eflin, yeah. Anderson, even they haven't been bad. They've been 1 to 5. They've been at least serviceable for the most part. I mean, and they have such a kind of complete lineup. There doesn't really seem to be. It's one of those things where you hope that if one guy's slumping, that the other guys might be on a trajectory. I know Didi's been doing pretty well recently.
Yes, he has.
So, and I think Harper at the beginning of the season was struggling a little bit to hit the ball, but has had a couple home runs since then. I think at least one yesterday I think it was. But yeah, no,
he tries to. I feel like he tries too hard at the plate sometimes, and I think that's his biggest problem. I mean, and we're going to get into it here in a second when we go to the American League, but I mean, Harper, he's trying to be that home run masher, and that's great and all, but we also would like you to get on base. If I'm a Philly fan,
if you could.
I'd like to see your on base percentage improve, because he's striking out too much. He's not drawing walks. He's not. And that brings me into the American League with the New York Yankees. Again, the problem I said from the start, you've got Judge and Stanton and all these mashers that if they're not hammering a home run, they're striking out. Like, that's just it. Their on-base percentage is not good. And they're getting hurt. They're straining too hard. They're getting hurt again early on here. It's unbelievable. Everybody talks about, man, look at the names in this lineup. Yeah, but look at what they're doing. They're trying too hard to just hit home runs instead of trying to win ball games. And that's why, Boston is currently at the top of that division, which is hilarious. Baltimore is, there's a 4-way tie there for second.
Yeah, the American League's a lot tighter, it feels like, right now. Yeah. There's like a lot of mediocre teams.
A lot of mediocre, and a lot of teams still trying to find their stride. I mean, again, first week of the year, so that's not unusual. But yeah, Baltimore, I will say this, for being 4-5, they've looked better than a 4-5 team. They've put together but again, it's before the All-Star break. So
right,
Baltimore for the World Series until the All-Star break.
Yeah, it's right where they like to be.
In the Central, Cleveland is on top there, but the Royals playing some good ball lately. With Minnesota having a little bit of struggles with their pitching. The White Sox need to get consistent at the plate there to help out some of their great pitching. But I expect Tony La Russa to right the ship there. Detroit is exactly where we thought they'd be. And then Houston and the Angels. This might be a year where the Angels actually will contend in this division. With Rendon, adding him with Trout and Shohei Ohtani, who's healthy and raking and pitching like crazy.
Yeah.
He had I think the stat was like first pitcher to throw like 98 miles an hour and then go and hit a home run at 112 exit velocity. Like, what?
I mean, a wild stat though.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the cool part about baseball analytics. You can get like the speed, but that's incredible. I mean, this dude is otherworldly that he can just be, you can plug him in as a DH. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Oakland is at the bottom right now, which is a little surprising. They have a better lineup than that. I do think that, again, through the first week of the season here, I think teams need to find their stride. I think, it's such a marathon of a season. And I know that, people are like, it's the first week, first month even. But I think we're going to know a lot about these teams as the first month of the regular season winds down, because, I mean, these guys, again, if you're not getting any sort of consistent rhythm in the first month, it's really hard to get it the rest of the way. So you don't want to be a team that, necessarily comes out of the gate super hot and tapers off too early. I've seen that too many times. And you don't want to be the one that's late to the party and has to hope other people lose. I've seen that too. But you want to be able to be in a place at the end of the first month where you can look at the ball club and say, we've had these really good spurts of consistency. We've had some really good moments. We know what we need to do. Maybe all it is a tweak of having someone who's batting third, bat fifth, and moving. I mean, the Cardinals are doing that tonight. Nolan Arenado's been, or Paul DeYoung's been batting cleanup, and he's been struggling. He's below 100 right now on his average. And Yadier Molina's got the best average on the team. I think he's hitting like 370. So they're like, we're going to move Yadi up to 4.
Yeah.
Old man Yadi is hitting. He's getting on base, getting doubles. So it's like, those small details I think are going to be the important things for these clubs to iron out starting off here. But if I'm a team like the Yankees and I'm a team that has all these, and the Phillies even, that your hitting's a problem, again, that's going to be just looking at what your hitter's approach to the plate is, which, as we've seen with New York, I'm going to swing so hard that I
rip my back out. Yeah.
I tear some muscles. And with Philadelphia, it's more of players maybe just not playing their role and doing too much of one thing.
Yeah.
But when you've got those guys like Didi Gregorius who are stepping up, that's going to help to elevate the rest of the team. So I think this is going to turn out actually to be a really good season for Philadelphia. If the pitching stays where it is.
Yeah, pitching has to stay where it is. Otherwise, we'll be all right, I think.
Yeah.
Because already not hitting well and still, winning games, that's definitely a good sign for when that picks up.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, Justin, what is your last things last for this week?
You're going to love this one.
Oh, am I?
On Saturday night, you know that there's a huge fight, right?
I do.
Who is it?
I don't know.
Jake Paul, Ben Askren. Jake Paul, Ben Askren. I'm so pumped for this fight. I
cannot believe I didn't commit that to memory.
Yeah. I'm so pumped for it. I think it's going to be so weird because
it's going to be terrible.
I don't know. I think Askren, I hope Askren wins. Right?
He should.
He fought in the, in Bellator. UFC,
you fought real fighters, not
real
a YouTube
fighters.
sensation.
And was only knocked out one time by a flying knee, which can't happen in this. So
yeah, true.
I feel like he should just maul Jake Paul, but if for some reason Jake Paul wins, I feel like that pushes like a possible, I don't want to say Conor fight, but I think it pushes like real people to start coming out, because he beat like a YouTuber and Nate Robinson. So like, it's not not a great 2-0, but some of the videos that I watch, like if you look at his hand speed and like his time, like he's not bad. He's definitely an amateur, obviously, but like I feel like Ben Askren could get knocked out. I'm like tentatively interested, and the best thing about it is that Snoop Dogg's commentating, so it's kind of like worth it just for that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Some of these things when they get really gimmicky, I don't know. I really don't know how I feel about that fight. Yeah, I know, but it's a YouTube star. I get he's trained. I get it. I get that he's been training. No doubt about that. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
You better watch. I'm not going to watch, probably, actually. I'm not going to watch. But I'll definitely watch the highlight of it afterwards.
Yeah. So mine is Larry Bird is officially retiring, stepping away from the sport and everything. And there was a really great quote for Michael Jordan after Larry Bird announced his retirement. He says, "Thank goodness. I'm glad. I'm tired of seeing your face. You ruined a lot of my successful games against the Boston Celtics." So really fun to kind of see, that old banter come back again. But pretty cool to look back on. People forget that Larry Bird was a successful coach, brought a lot to different teams. And, I think a lot of times when we talk about some of the greatest guys in NBA history, he's not always one of the first ones mentioned. But to me, if anyone ever asked me who had the best shot, it's Larry Bird. Out of any video I've ever seen, that guy has the purest shot I think I've ever seen. It's just very interesting to see, like, this didn't get much news, like Larry Bird stepping away. And kind of, it's kind of surprising to me because this guy did so much for the game, both as a player and a coach. I don't know. What do you take from his legacy here?
Yeah, I think it's weirdly like not surprising when you talk about like best players in NBA history. You always go, Kareem, Magic, Michael, Kareem, Magic, Wilt,
LeBron.
Well, yeah,
Kobe.
But then and then you start like hitting that list, and then people start bringing up, Duncan. And then people start bringing up other guys. And then you're like, oh, wait a second. Larry Bird, though, I feel like he's always kind of like a weird afterthought when he was a dominant player in the NBA.
Incredible.
He has some of the best stories as far as...
dude. Trash talking?
Trash talk. The
legend.
3-point contest when he goes in to the locker room and asks which one of them is getting second. Didn't even take his warm-ups off.
Yeah, dude. Contest. And not only that, if you look at those warm-ups back in the 80s, it's like those really stiff, satiny, like the sleeves are real tight. There's no range of motion with your arms there.
And he banged in, however many threes just to
crushed it.
So there's that. And then the other quote that was good was he played an entire game left-handed. and put up, I think it was like 42 and like 7 and something else. And then told at the end of the game, the reporters that he'd played with his left hand because they had a back-to-back and he wanted to save his right for the next night. So like just played an entire game left-handed. So
Well,
he has
all
some
I
of
know
like, the
is-
most epic stories.
I've enjoyed great success with him in 2K. Of every time I play Anthony, maybe Larry Bird channels something within me because I always trash talk Anthony so hard. I'm like, I'm about to drop 80 with Larry Bird on you, and I go in and drop 80, 85 points.
I can
with
never
Larry
get a
Bird.
shot down in 2K. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I just can't get it.
Well, see, I figured out why I learned his back when we were actually playing My Player. I chose his shot for My Player.
Oh,
So I got used to his mechanics. So then
Yeah.
I just drop back and just let it go.
yep.
And the best I got was 107 points with him against him.
Jesus. Well, rest in
Yeah.
peace, Larry Bird.
Yeah. He's not dead.
Oh, well. Whoops.
By the way, folks, just gotta tell you this one. Justin and I discovered this crazy new game mode on PGA 2K21 if you play golf video games. It's called Divot Derby. And when I tell you it is the most addicting, ridiculous thing, it's literally 20 players, and it's not who has the best score, it's who can get the ball in the cup fastest. So it is just 20 golf balls flying at various speeds and directions, and just Justin and I yelling at each other through the mic, trying to get to the hole at the end. It's pretty tremendous. You hit the water off the tee, and it's kind of a mess. It's a death sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, yeah, good to be back. Hopefully we'll have Virginia Traffic Boy with us next time. But yeah, congratulations. MJ is engaged.
Yeah, wanted to say
Danielle.
congratulations. I guess we're not
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah, I
That's
guess
why
we
he's
can't do
avoiding
that,
it.
but that's why we're ending on this, I suppose. Yeah.
That's what he's avoiding. He's avoiding our congratulations. We figured it out.
Oh man. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening as always. Give a like and a subscribe if you haven't, and share the